Hi, my name is Samm Walker and I'm one of the protection advisors here at John Charcoal. Simon Walklin Knight has asked me to just quickly run through how we would like you to approach referring clients to us for their protection needs. I've previously been a mortgage advisor and been advised on mortgages for approximately 13 years before specialising in protection, so I have a good idea of how this works. So the first thing that I used to do when I was going through the IDD, so the initial disclosure document, protection would be one of the things that I would mention there, along with the mortgage. So we would be discussing protection mortgages right from the outset. I'd then be mentioning it at the budget planner, and my more normal questioning would be around the fact that how much can you afford for your mortgage? That's lovely. Is that including protection figures, or are we looking at that separate price-wise? And then right at the end of the conversation, once you're looking to submit the mortgage application, then I'd be having a conversation with them saying, right, now's the time to book in your protection review. Underwriting takes a bit of time. Good idea to get that rolling whilst your mortgage application is underway. So I've been given a list of objections that commonly are received by my clients and my mortgage broker's clients. I'm going to read them out. I apologise, I've got them on email, but I can't remember them all, so bear with me. First one I have is, I have a buy-to-let, so my family will sell it if I pass away. That is great that they've got a buy-to-let property, but obviously there could be capital gains to pay on a buy-to-let property if it's sold, potentially. There are also potentially other inheritance tax purposes. Plus, they might want to have the income from that buy-to-let to help support family, children until they reach a certain age, or they might want to pass that property on unencumbered. It's always worth having a review, potentially as well around the inheritance tax issues for sales purposes and estate planning. Second question, rent brings me an income if I was to get ill. That's true. What happens if they're a tenancy void? They're not getting any rent. They've also got a mortgage to pay. Definitely worth having a conversation around that. And the common misconception is they can't have income protection, or it will be reduced by the amount of rent that they receive. That is not the case, so definitely still worth a conversation. I live abroad. This is something that we can cover. We do have people that are expats that live abroad. We can even include and insure people that are foreign nationals living overseas, as long as they are insuring their mortgage for residential purchase or remortgage. We can't if it's a buy-to-let. So the only person, just to clarify, we can't insure is a foreign national living overseas that is trying to insure a buy-to-let purchase or remortgage. I can check it online. Absolutely, they can check it online. Do they know about trusts? Do they know what kind of insurance they need? I've had a client recently that had a level term policy for a repayment mortgage, and then I had one on the flip side of that that had a decreasing term policy to cover an interest-only mortgage, who failed to see the difference until I pointed out their mistake. I want to get my mortgage sorted first. That's the priority. Of course it is. Everybody's priority is to get their mortgage first, is because that's what they need to complete the transaction. However, if their underwriting takes 6 months because the GP is taking ages to come back to them, then their mortgage is going to be sorted, they're going to be moved in, and they're not going to be insured. And if they die or become ill in that period of time, then they're not going to be able to receive any payment, or their family won't, and they could get their house repossessed before they've even got past the year. I've got a lot of cover through work. Lots of people have cover through work. It's a great thing to have. As protection advisors, dependent on the kind of cover available, we're not going to advise against that. But what I would say is people do change jobs. I think the average length of a job these days is 2 years. Or worse, your employer, you might stay with your employer for 10, 15, 20 years, but they might change their work benefits, remove income protection, private medical insurance, that kind of thing. Always worth having a backup plan and making sure they're fully insured. They've got cover in place already elsewhere. Absolutely fine. I've had a client recently who had 10 policies in place. None of them covered what she needed them to cover. She thought critical illness covered income protection, and we ended up rewriting a whole lot and replacing everything to get her the cover that was actually accurate and streamlined and was more cost effective for her at the same time. Next one is, I've got an IFA. That is good. Most IFAs know their stuff. Always worth checking against things like, have they got trusts in place? Have they got the right policies in place to cover their needs? IFAs are very good at estate planning, not necessarily the day-to-day protection things. I have worked for one, I do know what they're like. Taken new policies via another provider in November when their residential mortgage was arranged. Still worth a review, especially if circumstances have changed, if they've changed jobs, if they've had children since then. Also, just to make sure they have the right cover in place regardless, and that A, it's in trust, and B, everybody knows what's what and where it is.